welcome to the webinar. Today we are going to talk about how to automate your purchase-to-pay process using AI within your OpenText vendor invoice management or SAP solutions. My name is Tuomas Haapsaari. I work as a head of growth in Snowfox.AI, and I'm very, very happy to spend this moment with all of you. Welcome.
My name is Miikka Savolainen, working as a COO in Snowfox. Actually, was the first people in the Snowfox, or first person in the Snowfox. And then we have our special guest.
Hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Jani Pääskönen, and I'm VIM expert in this discussion of ours. I've been working with SAP invoice automation now plus 25 years, and half of that, meaning 12 years with OpenText VIM, various customers global. Again, nice to meet you all.
And warm welcome, Jani.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you with us.
Exactly. How much you have been cycling this season?
As you can see from the picture, a lot. On a daily basis.
That is good. That is good. Okay, but what are we going to talk about in this webinar? So first of all, we're going to cover why is accounting AI needed overall. And then we're going to explain what are the capabilities of accounting AI and how does the accounting AI work, what is the logic behind it, and so on, kind of details. And then we'll explain the connection with OpenText VIM. We will show you a few customer cases, and then we are going to explain the opportunity of testing Snowfox AI accuracy for free, actually. So let's begin. First of all, as we all know, manual invoice handling and processing is very time-consuming and expensive work. So the industry average is roughly 6 to 10 euros per manually processed invoice. And let's say you are receiving 100,000 invoices and they are manually processed. It's quite expensive process. What can you say? But we are still lacking invoice automation in the big picture. So the industry average, again, 70% of the non-purchase order invoices are being manually coded and routed for approval flow. Of course, we've seen companies who have like higher invoice automation, but we have also seen companies who have way less automation than 30%. But let's say 70%, 80% of non-PO invoices are manually coded and routed for approval flow. So it's a lot of manual work to be done. And why is that? Let's talk a little bit about the rule-based automation, which is kind of the traditional and even today's way of automating the non-PO invoices. So we actually listed a few points, which most probably are very familiar with you. What are the challenges of rule-based automation? And Miikka, can you quickly actually elaborate on the headline that what is actually rule-based automation? What does it mean?
Yeah, the rule-based automation is something where you set like a predefined way of handling the invoices in the system, which means that there is when certain things are taking place or are true, then these next steps will take place. So that's the rule based, and how most of the things are automated today. And the main thing there is that these rules, they need to be built. So somebody needs to build, and then it depends on the system how those rules are built. But anyway, they need to be built, and typically they are built on like a supplier based way. And then also those rules need to be maintained, and that takes place manually. And it normally means that you need to have something expertise to build those rules. But what about, Jani, when we are talking about now OpenText VIM, what does it mean to build this kind of rules and maintain?
Yes, either OpenText VIM or actually any solution inside SAP. Usually it means that someone actually writes a piece of ABAP program, implements a table, for example, where you then maintain these rules. And typical example is that non-PO invoice comes in and If for this vendor an invoice contains a word flight expenses or rents, and then based on the configuration table of our system uses certain GL account and certain cost center for the invoice. So no intelligent automation, it's purely based on values in the configuration table. And again, as I said, someone needs to implement that, and it's very static, it's very stiff.
How long it takes? Normally, can it be said that how long it takes to build this kind of rule?
Depends. You can easily use a couple of days of implementing that and regression testing, and it's only the rule itself, no analytics, for example, included.
Okay, so you can basically cannot then not follow that how this rule works, how many invoices were.
It either works or it doesn't.
Okay. Could I build this kind of rule?
If you go to an app course, why not?
Okay, yeah, and maybe this also explains a little bit that why typically these automation rates are low.
Yeah.
Because it needs work, and you need to have certain things in place so that the rule really like steps in.
And certain, can I say, fixed type of invoices and certain suppliers like rents or travel costs or phone bills or something like that.
Yeah, so it means that it need to be static and recurring invoices in that sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you were also touching that it needs the data that needs to be in place also there, and then it needs to be correct so that the rule can work.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you have, I guess that you have been building these kind of rules a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you see that? Where are the, let's say, the biggest, how would I say, the challenges in overall of this rule-based?
Main challenge is if I briefly summarize it, it's pretty much on-off. So again, it either works or it doesn't, because there's no flexibility, no intelligence, and no analytics. So it's very stiff, very static, and either works or doesn't.
Yeah. So it works perfectly on the world where there are no changes. Everything
yes,
is
exactly.
static, and that's a normal business.
Yes.
I would say. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
But I think this is like a wrapping up that why we see, especially in this non-PO invoices, why this rule-based automation is not enough. It's a good base in many cases, but it's not definitely enough.
Yeah, that's a well put. That it's actually a good base.
Yeah.
So we still think that there is place for rules
Definitely.
for static invoices, recurring invoices. But if you are only with rules trying to achieve 90% of invoice automation, on paper somebody could do it, but basically not, because invoices are not static and not recurring, because they are different and so on. So it's really almost impossible, we would say.
Yeah.
But that's it. But utilizing the AI is the easiest way to achieve high invoice automation rate, which is actually today possible right now, and companies are doing it right now. And we are shortly going to explain you how does the AI work, how does it learn to automate purchase invoices and so on. But first of all, this is kind of big picture, like we just kind of told previously, but the status quo with probably most of you as well is when you think about your non-PO automation, but there are some rules in place. Some invoices are being automated with rules, but most of the invoices are still coded and routed for approval flow manual, and it's a lot of work. And we promise that if you are implementing a good AI solution in place, you can actually achieve, just by implementing AI, 80% or even 90% of invoice automation. Not 100%, that's for sure, but still 80-90% of automation you can just by implementing AI. And the logic is that AI is always kind of secondary automation. So if you have some rules built within your VIM, they're always kind of triggered first. And then the rest of the invoices that you would otherwise have to code manually, AI is actually capable of coding and routing those invoices automatically. So this is kind of the base. But what are the concrete capabilities, Mika, of Snowfox.AI solution?
Yeah, we in the Snowfox, so we are focusing on automating the non-PO purchase invoices. So the non-POs, that's specifically where we are focusing on. So how to automate those invoices, which are let's say the most difficult to automate in the current way of doing the automation. And we do this based on the AI. We will explain how Snowfox AI is working in more detail a little bit later. And I think the important thing here is that our service is an extension to OpenText VIM, which is supporting, as you saw in the previous slide, supporting the existing automation what you have in VIM, and we are building on top of that. So we are not replacing, but we are building on top of that. So we are supporting your existing system. We are supporting your existing process, how you are handling the invoices. What we do is that we are automating the coding of the invoices and routing the invoices for the approval flow. So meaning that we can tell to the system that who is the reviewer, who is the approver of the invoice based on the data what's on the invoice as itself. We do have a capabilities of doing or capture or extract the data from the invoice. For example, project numbers, reference information, in some cases even some PO information to support your automation and support how the Snowfox AI works. But to be clear, we are not replacing the OCR. We are improving the OCR rate in some cases. We also are really transparent, so we are offering the real-time analytics to showing how our AI, how our service is performing. And it's really on the detailed level, on an invoice level, showing how the coding was predicted by the AI and so on. Our business model is so that we really support this kind of value-based model. Our pricing, for example, is only based for the correct prediction. So when we are able to bring the value for the customer, then which means the automation, then we are charging, and if we are not able to automate, then we are not charging anything. And it's a transactional based. We are able and we are willing to give you the capability test. So with your own data to test how Snowfox works. We will come back to that later. And we also want to be easy to deal with, where one example is that we don't demand long commitments in our agreement. And Snowfox as itself, we are a Finnish-based company. We are roughly 30 people right now. We are processing roughly 15 million purchase invoices for our customers annually. We are really rapidly growing, which shows that there is a market for this kind of, let's say, new way of doing the automation.
Yes, let's move forward. So like Miikka said, we have actually a little bit outdated numbers here. So today we are processing over 15 million invoices per year. We are working with big corporations, mostly because they are receiving a lot of invoices and there's a lot of manual work needs to be automated. So that's where we are good. Typically our customers are global companies. They have really complex kind of environments. So that's where the AI is mostly needed. We are a Google Cloud partner and we were awarded as the Google Cloud Customer of the Year last year. And it was for kind of innovatively using Google Cloud services as well. So we're really, really proud of that. That's shortly about our what kind of customers are we working with. And please send us questions if you have. So we will take them on the way. So Miikka.
Yeah, and then just to give you one comment from one of our international customers, which is ISS. There's the CFO Seppo Haapalainen. He stated that he's very satisfied with Snowfox solution, and why he was satisfied that it's really effective, so that let's say the prediction rates are really on a good level, on the high level. Results was achieved quickly. So after implementing the service, it really gave the quick results, good automation level, and with the reasonable investment. So we are more like a pay as a go, not a big upfront investments there. And it's that we connect to the existing workflow solution. So no new system, no new processes, and for the end user, no changes there in the way of doing the work compared to today. So pretty easy.
Yeah, so the existing system just kind of magically starts working better and more automated way. So no new systems needs to be implemented, and that we have heard as our advantage. That it's easy. It's easy. But let's go through how does the AI actually learn to process automatically your invoices or any company or customer invoices, and how does it improve over time and so on. But first of all, when we are implementing AI in use, we always start with historic data. So there are no rules that needs to be created in the first place, but actually we just extract historic data. It means historic invoices, meaning the original invoices, invoice image, and then the OCR structured file. And then the related coding data, meaning like GL accounts, cost centers, VAT, tax codes, projects, whatever dimensions or cost allocations you are using that data. And then the approval flow, which means who reviewed the invoice, who approved the invoice, and so on. And typically we get 6 months to even 12 months of historic invoice data to train the AI model. And training the AI model, what it means actually. So basically, it means that we are actually taking every single of those historic invoices and the coding data to train AI. AI will start going through those invoices one by one. First, it will have a look at the invoice itself, the invoice image and the structured file, the OCR file. And it will go through every single data field in the invoice image, everything like supplier data, all the header information, amounts, and so on, and all the line items as well. All the reference numbers, addresses, everything it will go through and kind of scan and memorize that data. And then it will go through the coding data. Which GL account was selected for this specific invoice? Which cost center was selected for this invoice? Which tax code, and so on. We'll go through all that data. And then it will go through the approval flow. Who reviewed this specific invoice, who approved this invoice, and so on. And then it will go to the next invoice. The invoice data again, the coding data, approval flow, and next, and so on. And it will go through all of those. If you're receiving 100,000 invoices per year, we get 6 months of data. It will go through 50,000 invoices, codings, and so on. And with that data, you can imagine that AI has a huge amount of invoices and then information how those invoices were processed, how those were coded before. And with that data, AI will start to create kind of a logics behind and find correlations between invoice data and the codings and understand like why this specific GL account was selected for these invoices, what kind of data there needs to be in the invoice that this GL account A is always selected, and so on. And it will build, you can imagine like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of kind of rules in the AI logics, taking into consideration all those small nuances even. Same suppliers and same kind of invoice, but there's just a little bit different reference code or address or something which triggered someone to post it to different cost center, for example. AI will reveal even those. And then
question.
Yes.
Does this only work for Finnish and Swedish invoices, which are the two official languages here in Finland?
Absolutely not. Today we are processing invoices from more than 40 different countries. We have even tried Arabics, Chinese, Japanese, and so on, and we haven't seen any limitations with that. And the other thing is that there are no limitations with the number of predicted fields. So some of our customer is using like 15 different cost allocations or dimensions to do the coding of the invoice. So there are no limitations of that as well. But first, AI is being trained with historic invoices. Nothing else needs to be done, and then it's ready to work. And then we connect AI with the VIM. So when you are receiving an invoice to your VIM, where there is no automation within VIM, then invoices are going to our AI to predict the coding and approval flow. So how does AI do it then? So now it's trained with the historic data. AI receives new invoice. It will go through the new invoice data, invoice image, and the structured file. and go through all the data points. And then based on kind of the historic learnings and the logics, AI will start to predict every single coding dimension separately. Which GL account would be the most probable for this invoice? Which cost center I should select? Which tax code? Who should review this invoice? Who should approve this invoice, and so on? And we'll predict all of those values separately. And when AI is predicting coding and approval flow, it will also indicate how sure or unsure AI was regarding every single prediction. For example, GL account, AI will indicate from 0 to 100% how sure, what is kind of the confidence value of each prediction. And why is that important? If you think that AI is able to predict, let's say, 9 GL accounts out of 10 correctly, but there is one mistake, maybe the question from you is that, okay, which one is incorrect and which ones are correct? So with the confidence value, you can actually identify that, hey, there is one invoice where AI is not sure about the GL account value. This one needs to be double checked with someone. So then somebody will review it and correct it, replace with correct value if there's a mistake.
Hey, there is a question actually there. So what if there is a invoice coming from a new supplier that's not on the historic date?
Yeah, that is a really good point actually. Like we talked about the rules before. Rules are typically configured based on supplier, for example. But with AI is also using the line items and everything. So let's say that you're buying some material from one supplier, and then you change the supplier to another supplier, and you still buy the same material. That's not a big thing for AI because everything else is kind of the same. That AI recognizes that you have purchased this kind of material before, it's been coded like this, only supplier changes. So AI is adapting to that, okay, there's this new supplier, the same old material purchased. So no worries about that. But that is a really good point, that AI actually adapts and understands this kind of small changes. But with rules, that's not that small change because you will have to configure the whole rule again. Yeah, good point. But okay, AI is predicting the coding and the approval flow of invoices, and then invoices will go to through your normal approval flow. So somebody will review the invoice and approve the invoice. If there are any incorrect predictions in place, it is very important that they will replace the values with the correct ones. For example, the GL account, AI predicted A, but the correct is B. So somebody will replace the value because, of course, you want it to be correct. But there is another reason also, which is that we actually get, after the invoice is approved, it's ready to be paid and booked, we will receive back to AI kind of the final codings of the invoice and final approval flow data as a feedback loop. So AI will compare that, okay, in the beginning, this is what I predicted. And at the end of the process, this is the final values. If GL account was changed or replaced with the correct one, AI actually learns and understands that I made a mistake and I need to learn from that. And AI models are being retrained actually automatically based on every single invoice that went through the process. So that's why AI is not static, but this is kind of the process where AI is learning and improving all the time based on real values. And you, as a customer, you can actually monitor this process real time in our analytics tool. So you can see how many invoices AI predicted and how accurate AI was. For example, GL account, your accuracy is 89.5%. So it's really, really, how do you say, transparent. But this is the process. Historic data for training. Then AI is doing the codings and approval flow predictions for you. If AI makes mistakes, it learns automatically from that, and you can monitor the process. And how is Snowfox AI connected to VIM?
Yeah, I think this is now we come to the, let's say, for this, how OpenText VIM and Snowfox are connected together. So first of all, we went through that why the non-PO invoice automation is difficult with the, let's say, traditional way, how the AI is able to solve it, and how we are in the Snowfox, what we can offer there. And now we go into the how Snowfox and OpenText VIM are connected to each other. So first of all, let's go through that. But where the Snowfox steps in the process when we are talking the invoice to pay process here. So first of all, the invoices are received by the company. The invoices can come in the different format, in the different ways, in paper, email, PDF, in e-invoice, whatever. And then some of those documents or invoices go through the OCR process. And then so anyway, all those invoices come in a different format. But anyway, there is the invoice image, and then there is some structured file which comes into the OpenText VIM. And then in OpenText VIM, there is this validation part, Jani, what the OpenText does.
Yes. So VIM users, you're of course familiar with terms called business rules and DP workflow. So within that DP workflow and business rules, Snowfox.AI is integrated to VIM. We will go to the details a bit later. But this is the validation step where VIM normally validates if it's a PO invoice, non-PO invoice, run through the business rules and so forth.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And if needed, then Snowfox can also do some enrichments for the data validation if needed there. But that said, OpenText VIM has anywhere the data validation in place. And then Snowfox offers the routing data for the OpenText VIM. So who is the reviewer, who is the approver, to who to send the invoice, and then the invoice coding, GL accounts, cost centers, tax code projects, and so on. So, and actually, as I said, it doesn't matter how many these kind of different dimensions or cost items you have there. It's a depending on the customer, and it's a customer based. And then after the invoice has been approved, then it goes to the normal payment and booking process. So after that, so Snowfox is on the middle of the process, improving the automation there.
Where actually the most of the manual work also is.
Exactly.
That's why we're focused there.
Yeah.
And about the connection.
Yeah, so on the high level, so how the process goes. So the supplier sends the invoice. The invoice comes through the invoice operator, OCR. It can be outsourced, it can be in-house. And then the invoice arrives to the OpenText VIM. The OpenText VIM first checks that if there is already automation in place, so processes, for example, PO invoices, and if there are some rules in place, and then it goes according to those processes when those invoices are recognized to go to those processes. And then, if not, the OpenText VIM sends the invoice information to Snowfox. Snowfox gives the predictions and returns those to the OpenText VIM. And then the invoice goes according to the set process to the approval. And then when the invoice has been approved, Snowfox receives the feedback data, which on the other hand trains the AI and gives them the real-time analytics. So that's on the high level. But if we go to, let's say, on more detail on the step 3, so how the invoice are processed inside the OpenText VIM when Snowfox is implemented. So how that goes, Jani?
I will try to spare you with most of the boring details. However, I need to go through some of the boring details. So as Mika said, it doesn't actually matter how the invoices are coming into your VIM. They can be iDocs, they can be e-invoices, XMLs. You can have in-house scanning, outsourced scanning, OCR in place, no OCR, doesn't matter. Invoices are coming into VIM, and then in your VIM, when it's integrated into Snowfox, will actually have few elements inside it. It will have one logic module. Some of you might be familiar with that term. 2 business rules, a configuration table, and then 2 background programs. And I will now quickly explain us through how it works. So invoice comes into VIM, and this logic module will be integrated into your non-PO invoice process. And by the way, if you then have some specific rules that only this invoice should go to Snowfox and these should not, naturally you can then fine-tune the logic module to contain that rule. But nevertheless, that logic module captures that it's a non-PO invoice, and this invoice should go through the Snowfox prediction process. Then this logic module actually captures the information from VIM header and VIM line items that we want to capture, saves a file together with PDF, and sends the PDF meaning the invoice image, together with the structured data to Snowfox and starts waiting. With starts waiting, I mean that there's a business rule called wait for Snowfox coding, and that business rule starts waiting in the background. Files are sent to Snowfox, invoice image and structured data. Snowfox executes the prediction and returns the filled coding information together with reviewer information back to VIM. And then a second of these programs that I mentioned, which is running regularly, typically in every 15 minutes in the system, recognizes that Snowfox returned the coding information, saves the coding information into VIM, and makes the process to continue. Then we have a second optional business rule called validate Snowfox coding, where you can actually configure what are the minimum mandatory coding information that you want to have on the invoice after Snowfox process. If some missing, VIM stops into this new business rule. If everything is in place, predicted by Snowfox, VIM continues wherever it continues, might stop to some of the other business rules. If it doesn't stop, meaning everything is fine, it's routed automatically to the reviewer based on reviewer information coming from Snowfox. And then invoices coded, coding is checked, invoices approved, and it is posted. And the second program that I mentioned, that is the last step of the process, where then we regularly, typically on a daily basis, export the VIM Snowfox predicted posted document information to Snowfox, and that is the data that Snowfox uses to enhance the AI even more in the future. So this is the information add-on package that we implement into your VIM to make it integrated into Snowfox prediction.
Question here, I think you mentioned that, but how long it takes normally this arrow from 3 to 4 and back? How long this process takes when the VIM sends the information to Snowfox?
So first of all, of course, audience here, you are typical SAP users. You know the process that you have the different SAP environments, development, test, and production system. So within a couple of hours, this solution is implemented into the development system, ready for manual tests, and then in a matter of 2 days, it's easily testable in test SAP environment.
Sounds pretty easy, I would say.
It is.
Okay.
And it doesn't, by the way, require any other changes into your VIM. So however you're currently processing invoices, can I say this doesn't break anything, this doesn't break or touch any of the existing business rules. So it's just an add-on to your existing VIM.
Okay, good. So you could say that it's an add-on to add-on.
Add-on to add-on, exactly.
Okay, great. But how are those predictions or values seen in the VIM UI?
Yeah, so here you can see example from one of these let's say UIs, what the end users are seeing. So first of all, on the left-hand side, you can see how the predictions are. So there are 4 those kind of different dimensions, and then the reviewer prediction. So first of all, this is predicted the debit or credit, and it has been predicted by Snowfox that it has been the debit. And then there is the confidence level 90 to 100. So that's the percentage there. GL account 513,900 with confidence level 80 to 90%. So all of these predictions what Snowfox gives, they are visible on the comment side for the end user. And of course all of these predictions, they are filled in the coding fields itself, which are there on the circles, where you can see, for example, the GL account. It has been appeared in the coding field. And one detail here, that there can be set thresholds. That, for example, for this GL account, that when the confidence level is, for example, above 80%, it comes automatically, or it populates the coding field. And if it's under the 80%, then it's only visible on the comments field. But then the GL account, it can be filled with default value, for example, 999 or 000 if possible. And then on the bottom of the UI, you can see that there is just a reviewer, Thomas Richardson, who has been reviewing this invoice. So that's how it's visible for the end user here.
Yes, and as some of you might recognize, this is of course VIM coding theory app, where we display the typical view for the coder reviewer. Same information is of course available for the AP processor in VIM DP as a big screen if invoice stops there. And as Mika said, so details of the coding predictions are stored in the VIM comments, and then coding information itself stored in the VIM line item. The coder requester information, in this case, Tom Rickardson, has been predicted by Snowfox and stored into VIM, and invoice has been routed to VIM automatically. And VIM also stores a history step called Snowfox coding added, which, by the way, means that, for example, if you're using VIM invoice lifecycle report, you can actually analyze from that report how many invoices were predicted by Snowfox and how many were not.
Mm-hmm. And maybe simplify, without Snowfox, all of these coding fields would be empty. Yes. Somebody would have to manually populate those fields.
Yes, of course.
And of course, the reviewer of the invoice as well. So somebody would have to select Thomas Richardson from the list and click and send it to him. Exactly. And with Snowfox.AI, this invoice was automatically routed, like Jani said, for Thomas, and all the codings were automatically in place. So reviewing the invoice is actually quite easy. You just have to go through quickly the invoice, how it looks, and just save. Otherwise, you would have to start browsing the GL account list and figuring out that which one would be the correct and so on. So that is kind of the big thing where it helps.
And also depending on the customer's process, for example, if the AP department is doing the pre-coding for the business, then the AP department should do this. And it could be that the AP department is doing some parts of this, and then, for example, businesses is entering the cost center there or something. It can be divided. But anyway, now all the data is there in place.
Yeah, and of course the goal is that the invoices will be transferred touchless to the reviewer without AP have to check it. And of course, like we said, AI is not 100% accurate. Yeah. So some of the invoices need to be rechecked by the AP. Yeah. So they're more like exception handling rather than all of the invoices. So it will change the ball game quite much.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
About the analytics, Mika.
Yeah, so this is just a very, very, very small glimpse of how our analytics looks like. But anyway, the idea is that we give the full transparency for our customers to see how the AI works. So on the top there is for example, the volumes, monthly volumes there visible. On the, let's say, left bottom hand, there is this prediction accuracy. So it can be seen on the dimensional level, how the prediction accuracy has been. And I said, those dimensions, those are like a customer based. And then also the workflow, how accurate the AI was on the workflow predictions in that sense. But this is only a small glimpse. There is a lot of other information in place in our analytics.
Yeah. The idea is that AI is not a black box anymore.
Exactly. And then, as we are working with our customers' data, we have a different kind of companies as our customers, starting from the financial industry. We have, for example, big cities. We have a Finnish government, and so on and so on. So the data security is big thing for us and for our customers. And I said, we are Google Cloud partner. We are using the Google services. We have built it the way that it has been, let's say, come through all the different audits what our customers has had in place. So it fulfills all of those. We are ISO 27001 certified. So in that sense, and regularly audited, of course, because we are certified, but also by some of our customers there. So this data security, it's a really important for us.
Yeah, and it has never been a problem for our customers when they have audited our data security. So
exactly.
So we're confident about this. We're really paying attention. A couple of customer cases to go through. What kind of results you can expect from AI? So first, Atlas Copco. It's a big global company headquartered in Sweden. They have shared service centers basically all over the world. Many of them. They are receiving in few shared service centers where we are working. They're receiving roughly 500,000 non-PO invoices per year. So quite significant amount of non-POs per year. And what they did they do in their journey to touchless processing of purchase invoices. So first of all, they started receiving PDF and email invoices. Yeah, they implemented OCR in use so they can get a structured file out of invoice images. Then they implemented purchase order auto matching and auto posting for purchase invoices was gradually enabled. But the non-PO, that has been a really headache for them. They are receiving roughly 50% of all the invoices as POs and 50% of non-POs. So non-POs is a really big thing for them as well. And what they did before Snowfox.AI regarding the non-POs, so they tried many ways automating those. First, they tried automatically post or code invoices based on past invoices. So there was kind of a automatic matching way that if this invoice was coded before, it was kind of copy pasting the historic coding for this new invoice. And I think Vim has exactly this kind of actually solution, smart coding itself, which is kind of copy pasting the historic codings with the new invoices. But with Atlas Copco, invoices are not static, so it didn't work for them. It worked for some of the invoices, but in the big picture, it didn't. Then they were actually creating a, how do you say, a big list of keywords, which they were trying to extract from the invoice, and then match the specific keyword to specific GL accounts and cost centers, for example. And they created thousands of keywords and thousands of pre-postings based on keywords. And as you can imagine, 500,000 non-PO invoices, you need thousands and thousands and thousands of keywords and related coding suggestions for each keyword. So yeah, it didn't work. And then they even tried building their own machine learning with Python that is doing the same what we are actually doing, not routing the invoices, but only for automatic coding of the purchase invoices. And there are some AI solutions in the markets that you can use and implement, but they don't work that well. It's not that simple. So what they found as well was that, yeah, maybe 30% automation, 35% automation with that AI tool, but not more than that. Okay, we implemented Snowfox.AI in use for them. As you can imagine, it's a really complicated environment and lots of fields to predict, a lot of countries all over the world. And still, the prediction accuracy is on a great level. And AI is still learning and improving all the time. And you can see actually a screenshot from their real analytics of their dimensions, what we are predicting, roughly more than 10 different items we are predicting, and the results are really good. And you can see even description text field, 72.17%, which can be anything, any kind of text, and still 72.17% correctly predicted. So pretty impressive, I would say. And another one, Kiinteistö Tahkola, they are a real estate company, also receiving huge amount of invoices, 650,000 invoices per year. And before us, their coding automation level was at 5%. 95% of all those invoices were coded manually before us. And they had the best of breed AT solution in use, which they connected to their ERP, which also had this kind of smart coding element for them, but didn't work that well. But today, level of coding automation is 94%, and the implementation time was 3.5 weeks, including testing everything, of course. Kickoff to live, 3.5 weeks. And the quote from Olli-Pekka is that in the very first month, the prediction accuracy of Snowfox was over 80%. And at the moment, we're already above 90%. And now they're like 94% today. But right after implementation, over 80%. So, yeah.
And then PHM Group, which is also on the let's say real estate management business. Over 200,000 invoices received annually, and the level of the coding automation was roughly 10% before they took Snowfox in use, and they had a robotics in place for coding the invoices, which they actually replaced when they took Snowfox in use. And now we are close to, together with them, we are close to 90% in the automation level. And for them, the business case has been that when they are growing rapidly, they have been doubled the number of purchase invoices, but the resources are the same. Or the people resources are the same. And of course, Snowfox is in use there. And they are really satisfied.
But to wrap it up, few points. There has been a lot of things what we went through regarding AI and so on. So we thought it would be good to wrap it up a little bit. So kind of a few key points. You can achieve up to 90% of invoice automation with AI, and of course save a lot of time for manual invoice processing. And AI learns automatically from historic invoice and coding data as we went through. So it is actually a really, really easy thing to implement. And AI also improves accuracy and adapts to changes autonomously. So if you are, for example, your chart of account is changing, AI learns automatically, and it also can be even pre-trained before the change happens. If there are bigger changes, it can be jail accounts or cost center structure or anything that changes. There are bigger changes. We can actually do a mapping of historic data and train the AI before the change happens.
Yeah. You are just touching one of the features what we have in our service. So we have went through it like more on general level. Yeah. A lot of different things which are like related to how to run our service effectively.
Yeah, and mostly with the actually help of Jani, the Vim implementation is really easy. It is pre-configured, so it really connects as an extension. Everything is ready-made scripts. Help of Jani, so it's easy to implement. And you're only paying for increased invoice automation. So if we are not able to help you increase your invoice automation, you are not actually paying us. So we are taking the risk, but we are really confident because we know that it works, so we can do that. Yeah. But it's like we're both on the same side of the table with the customers, so they are willing to achieve high invoice automation, and of course we want to get paid. So yeah. And about testing, if you're thinking if it works for you, because many times we hear that customers are saying that yes, for those companies, but we are so different. Yeah. We are so complex, it cannot work for us. We have tried everything. Yeah. But what do you say?
Yeah, that's what we are hearing quite often, that we are, exactly that for the others it might work, but we are so complex, we are so different, we have so many different dimensions, we are so unique and so on. Therefore, actually, we from the very beginning, we have offered the possibility for our customers to test with their customer own data, that how this works, how Snowfox is able to predict the things. And then from the customer point of view, first of all, this testing is free of charge. The customer provides us typically from 3 to 6 months data, invoices, codings, and the routing information, and that's like a one data patch. So nothing is connected at this point. It's a one data patch. And the testing is done offline. We receive the data patch. 70% of those data we are using for training the AI. 30% of the rest of the data we take the invoices and we run through those invoices as a new invoices for the trained AI model. It gives the predictions. Coding predictions, posting predictions, and also the routing predictions. And we compare those AI predictions to the original predictions of those 30% of the invoices. And we report those in our analytics for the customer. And then based on the reporting, the customer can see that how well Snowfox works, what could be the automation level, and build the business case based on that. And this everything is done without commitment from the customer side. So,
how long does it take to do this kind of?
When we receive the data, normally it's like 2 weeks, and we have the report ready for the customer.
And just as a remark, nothing needs to be done in your BIM system, so nothing will be implemented. So this testing is just exporting data from SAP database and then predicting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. But yes, thank you so much for participating. And if you want to conduct this kind of free of charge AI accuracy test, be in touch with us. Maybe you can send us an email, you can give us a call, connect us on LinkedIn. And if you need any help with the VIM, so we have a special guest, Jani, here. So most definitely you can help customers with VIM.
Sure.
So, thank you so much for participating in this webinar. We are looking forward to hearing from you in the future, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.